It's important now that all the horses have been let out of the gate. Okay, I'm watching Calhoun as I speak to you right now. It's national news. There are pictures all over the place. That place was packed with folks not wearing masks, and so we better gear up right now. But please give us as much information as you can, as fast as you can, without hesitation, as soon as you can draw a thread to it. Thank you.
Second question follows up on the masks. Uh, I was a strong proponent of making masks mandatory, but the mayor presented a very logical case that I have to agree with. I mean, we'd be passing a law that's not enforceable. But that then leads to what I'm seeing is a inequity in forcing some businesses to make it mandatory for their customers to wear masks, and others that don't. And I'll give you an example. The barbershop that I'm hoping to go to is still closed because they're waiting for their PPE. But then next door is a grocery store, and they don't require masks. They do have their 6 feet stance out, but when you're going up and down an aisle, you're going to pass somebody and you're going to be within inside that 6 feet. And so I don't even see how you can say a large box store or a large store or store that has a lot of square footage can guarantee that their customers are never going to be within 6 feet of them. So that why aren't we just making every store for them to be open have to wear a mask? And if you want to save that till after the safer at home conversation, that's fine. So those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
I think on the mask front, I'm going to let Lori Seago go through our public health order and see if she can touch on that with some better kind of that legal acumen that you're asking about. I can tell you what I think ethically we should be doing as individuals, and the requests that we have put forward to wear masks.
There seems to be a real kind of divisiveness and contention in the community around wearing masks or not wearing masks or having the right to not wear a mask or requiring people to wear masks. We've had customers in our stores who we want to have wear a mask, and they've been upset and angry. You can't tell me what to do. And I know we are encouraging people to wear masks, and we hope that they do. But is there any other way that we can be proactive as a community? I think one of the big issues that we have that's very valuable, or one of the benefits, is that we have such a low rate here, and that we are doing the right things. And if we could somehow capitalize on that, I think as the economy opens up, we may end up getting tourists who want to come to Colorado Springs from the North Front Range, for example, because it's a safe place. But we also, have the other side of the coin where we have a lot of people in this community that are just really objecting to being told what to do. And I wonder if we could have a little bit of a discussion about that. Director Whelan, I know you've had some thoughts about it. I feel like this is a really tough debate. We don't want to require it. We don't want to arrest people. We want some certain businesses to require. We want certain businesses to have the ability to do it. And then we also want people to feel safe. Is there anybody that wants to comment on this? I think it's really the elephant in the room today in lots of ways. We've had demonstrations out on the steps of City Hall. Is there any solution that we can think of that helps both sides be understood?
Rob, one comment, and then I'll defer to those who are more intelligent in this area. But I think it's fair to say that that the stay-at-home order was immeasurably difficult on everyone. But because we were successful in complying with it to the best of our ability, that has enabled us as a state to move to the safer at home phase. And even here in El Paso County, because we've done so well, it has enabled us to feel comfortable submitting these variance requests to the state to open up even further. And I think it's a fair generalization to state that the best thing we can do to not only protect our public health, but to protect our economy is to continue to comply with the provisions that are in place so that we don't have a further outbreak that would then warrant, ratcheting back down. But I will defer to others.
So I don't know that I have any kind of brilliance to offer you, Mr. Scorbin, but I do think that that is a really pertinent question, and some of it begins with the concept that we really need to have civil discourse, and it's a sense of respect for each other, even if we have some varying opinions.
We will recognize in that contract the responsibilities that we owe to each other, so we do not have to enact rules and regulations to enforce it. And I hope that we don't have to go down that road. But there is also a governmental responsibility to ensure the health and safety and ability to participate not only of the many, but frankly, more fundamentally, of the most vulnerable and the few. So part of what concerns me is, how do we allow those at risk? How do we allow those that are most vulnerable to be able to take advantage of the safer at home? How do we ensure that they too have an opportunity to participate in the culture? How do we weigh death on all aspects, in all causes? How do we weigh death and issues of health and safety in policy discussion? How do we address this social division in that? And I really want to emphasize that for me, at least, I don't want to get to a point where we accept and tolerate this as the state of means, that it is tolerable that some persons in our culture have to risk staying at home rather than participating in culture as a whole, or staying at home and staying safe rather than going out and engaging with their job. And this is particularly true since we don't know now that apparently our children may be at risk from this. For the longest time, we thought that our children were not at risk, but over the last couple of days, it appears that even our children are at risk of dying from this. So these are very real concerns. And the last comment I'd make is, in my lifetime, in the context of social contract, of confronting folks that like the status quo, like things the way they are, we've done that with seatbelts, and seatbelts are now mandatory. And I remember when those were controversial. I remember the controversy that came up when the Mothers Against Drunk Driving first came in, the controversy about smoking in restaurants and public places. All of these involve this exchange of ideas, which is going on right now, of people of goodwill, people who, and I've read all the emails. Nobody is malevolent or evil. Everybody has a perspective that is legitimate and deserves to be heard. But ultimately, we need to come to the new reality that we did when we made the decisions that we're not going to outlaw cigarettes, but we are going to say, for instance, you can't smoke in grocery stores or places of public business or at restaurants. And that's the compromise we came to. And I'm comfortable, even though we're being forced to that kind of consideration on a much, much faster way, that we can get there if we but listen to each other.
When you look at the Constitution, it says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It talks about life. And the ultimate, most precious thing is life, from that first breath to that last breath. And I see that the health department is taking care of that, looking at people's health. And how do we preserve their life? How do we, I think the governor said that, and I think he's doing a fantastic job, because it's like just making sure that if we end up getting this infection, that we have a fighting chance, that we have all the tools and resources to keep on living. When this first happened, my best friend, she had a husband that's a couch potato, never wanted to get out. As soon as the stay-at-home order came into effect, he all of a sudden wanted to go out everywhere. And he was very obstinate about that, because it was about being told you're not supposed to do that, not supposed to do this. And so we are in a difficult, this is a virus, and I think what we question is our reaction. And I think that we have created that balance, the governor has created that balance, and public health has, and trying to create that balance between our economic situation and our livelihood and our health.